Imagine taking a fresh stack of $100 bills and dropping them straight into a paper shredder. Functionally, this is identical to what happens when you follow some of the most common, conservative financial advice on the planet. We naturally crave the comfort of a padded checking account and the enormous psychological relief of being entirely debt-free, because it feels responsible, it feels safe. But the modern economy operates on a mathematical reality that punishes those exact instincts. The forces acting on your money are invisible, and they actively drain your purchasing power while you think you are doing everything right. We are going to break down 3 specific, supposedly responsible habits that are quietly draining your net worth, and look at the mechanical rules billionaires like Mark Cuban use to bypass them entirely. It turns out, human instinct is a terrible financial advisor. That warm feeling of absolute financial security is often the exact moment your wealth starts to mathematically stagnate. This chart plots inflation against bank interest rates. When inflation outpaces interest, real returns go negative. Every extra dollar in savings loses value. Similarly, aggressively paying down a 3% mortgage saves 3%, but misses historical 8% market returns. Research at Vanguard found that this exact miscalculation causes thousands of people to overpay auto and student loans, leaving free money, like an employer 401k match, completely on the table. Then there is the opposite error, clutching a large cash reserve for a rainy day while carrying a rolling balance on a high-interest credit card. Mark Cuban points to credit card interest as one of the most efficient mechanisms to stay broke. Any cash held in reserve while you owe 20% interest on a card is bleeding your net worth dry. His rule is simple: pay that balance in full immediately. Treating all debt as evil and all cash as good destroys wealth. Optimization requires you to prioritize the raw math of interest rates over the emotional high of being totally debt-free. Once you do invest, another invisible drain appears: management fees. These are rarely one-time administrative charges. They are layered, ongoing costs tucked directly into mutual funds and trading platforms. This graph tracks 2 20-year compound interest curves. The top line is an untouched portfolio. The bottom shows the same portfolio, minus a 1% annual fee. Look at the widening gap. You're losing all future exponential returns that missing capital would have generated. The most common culprits hiding these costs are actively managed funds, built-in marketings, and the high transaction costs created by constant portfolio turnover. Letting a 1 or 2% fee slide today guarantees a massive reduction in your final net worth. Protecting your wealth requires a ruthless audit. This brings us to the final and perhaps most dangerous safety trap. When people finally retire, their first instinct is often to shift their entire life savings into conservative assets, like cash, to protect their principal. Over a 30-year retirement window, this extreme defensive posture ensures that the rising cost of living will easily outpace the growth of the portfolio. But staying invested in the market introduces a timing threat known as the sequence of returns risk. It's a mechanical vulnerability where the exact order of your gains and losses determines whether your money survives. This chart compares 2 identical retirees. Retiree A faces a year-1 market crash. Withdrawing during a downturn cripples their principal. It hits 0 by year 18. Retiree B endures the same crash in year 10. Because of earlier compound growth, their portfolio easily survives. When the market drops matters far more than your average lifetime returns. Navigating retirement means accepting that playing it safe still requires calculated market exposure. Defeating these wealth traps means firing your emotional instincts and replacing them with a strict mechanical financial plan. Start with your immediate cash flow. Cap your liquid cash at a strict 6-month emergency buffer to minimize the inflation bleed, and automate all your recurring bills to eliminate the lazy delays that trigger late fees. Next, split your debt strategy. Aggressively wipe out anything carrying 20% credit card interest, but intentionally let a low-interest mortgage ride. Redirect that extra cash to fully capture any employer matches in your investment accounts. And as you approach your 60s and 70s, maintain a diversified, growth-oriented portfolio. You need equities to defend your purchasing power against long-term inflation and to build a buffer against a poorly timed market dip. True financial security isn't achieved by hiding from risk. It is built by plugging the invisible leaks, optimizing the math, and forcing the mechanics of compounding to work for you instead of against you.